The suburban park hums with life, children laughing, joggers passing, and families enjoying the warm afternoon. Yet, for some, the serenity is tinged with an unspoken unease. Black residents move with quiet caution, acutely aware of the risks that come with simply existing in certain spaces. On the cracked basketball court, 16-year-old Jayden Williams practices his jump shot. Each bounce of his worn basketball echoes with purpose. For Jayden, this isn't just a game, it's his escape. His dreams of becoming a professional player fuel every move, offering hope for a better future for himself and his hardworking single mother. Jayden's scuffed shoes and frayed jersey reflect the financial strain he and his mom endure. As he focuses on the hoop, his mother's voice lingers in his mind. "Keep your head down and stay safe, Jayden." Her advice is both protection and a reminder of the world they navigate. A missed shot rolls off the rim, and he jogs to retrieve the ball. Lost in his routine, he doesn't notice the patrol car pulling into the lot. The low hum of the engine breaks the park's rhythm. Officer Greg Harris, a burly man with a hardened expression, scans the area. His eyes lock onto Jayden. Harris steps out of the car, his boots crunching against the gravel. His gaze doesn't waver as he moves purposefully toward the court. Jayden notices him now. His heartbeat quickens, but he keeps dribbling, forcing himself to appear calm. "Hey, you!" Harris's voice cuts through the park. Jayden stops, the ball bouncing away. He turns slowly, cautious. "Yes, sir?" Harris approaches, his stance rigid. "What are you doing here?" Jayden gestures toward the hoop. "Just practicing." Harris narrows his eyes. "Practicing, huh? There's been vandalism nearby, broken windows, graffiti. Know anything about that?" "No, sir," Jayden replies, his voice steady but nervous. "I've been here the whole time." "You got ID?" Jayden hesitates. "No, sir, I didn't bring it. I'm just here to play basketball." Harris smirks. Convenient, real convenient. The tension thickens as Harris takes a step closer. "You think I'm going to take your word for it? Where's your bag? You ditch whatever you were using?" Jayden's voice wavers slightly. "I don't have a bag, just my ball and water." Parkgoers begin to notice. A few discreetly pull out their phones, recording from a distance. Others whisper, their unease growing. Jayden forces himself to stay calm, recalling his mother's warnings. "I'm not lying. You can ask anyone. I've just been practicing." Harris's tone hardens. "You fit the description, kid. Now, cooperate or this gets worse." The park grows quieter, the air heavy with tension. Jayden glances at the onlookers, hoping someone will step in. But they stay silent, watching the moment unfold. The officer leans in, lowering his voice but keeping the edge. "Calm down. Don't make this harder on yourself." Jayden swallows hard, his mind racing. The weight of the officer's accusation presses down on him. He looks around again, catching the hesitant eyes of onlookers. A woman whispers to her friend, "This doesn't seem right." Harris straightens and glares at the small crowd. "Move along. This is official business." The crowd hesitates, murmurs growing louder but still distant. Jayden stands frozen, his chest tightening as Harris's words echo in his ears. "You fit the profile." Without warning, Harris grabs Jayden's arm. "Turn around," he orders. Jayden recoils instinctively. "What are you doing? I didn't do anything wrong." Harris tightens his grip, pulling Jayden toward him. "Stop resisting or I'll have to use force." "I'm not resisting," Jayden protests, his voice breaking. He stumbles slightly, trying to stay balanced. A man in the crowd steps forward, cautiously. "Hey, come on, officer. The kid's just playing ball." Harris glares at the man. "Step back. This isn't your concern." Jayden's mind floods with memories of his mother's warnings. Stay calm. Don't give them a reason. His breathing quickens and he fights to keep his voice steady. "Sir, please, I'm just trying to explain." "Save it," Harris snaps, forcing Jayden's hands behind his back. The small crowd grows larger, their phones now openly recording. Whispers turn into audible protests, but no one dares step closer. Jayden looks at the faces in the crowd, pleading silently for help. His voice trembles as he says, "I didn't do anything." The officer ignores him, his grip firm, his tone cold. "You're going to explain yourself downtown." The murmurs in the crowd grow louder as more people stop to watch. A woman with a stroller shakes her head. "This isn't right, he's just a kid." Another man mutters, "Someone should call someone." This is out of hand. Jayden's eyes dart between the faces, his fear intensifying. "Please," he says, his voice barely audible. "I didn't do anything." Harris doesn't loosen his grip. Instead, he reaches for his radio. "Need backup. Possible suspect detained." The words send a chill through Jayden. His chest tightens and tears sting his eyes, but he blinks them away. "Don't let them see you break." A young woman steps forward, holding her phone high. "We see you," she shouts. "You can't just do this to him." Harris turns sharply. "Back off. Interfering with law enforcement is a crime." The woman doesn't flinch. "And what you're doing is worse." The crowd grows bolder, but their voices still hold hesitation. Jayden glances at them, the weight of his isolation crushing him. "Why won't anyone help?" he whispers to himself, his voice drowned out by the growing tension. A second patrol car pulls into the lot, its siren wailing briefly before cutting off. Two officers step out, their expressions unreadable. Jayden's stomach sinks further. The presence of more officers feels like a sentence, not salvation. "Good timing," Harris says, gesturing toward Jayden. "Got ourselves a vandal, probably hiding something." One of the new officers, a tall black man with a calm demeanor, glances at the scene. His name tag reads Sergeant Davis. He steps forward, his voice steady. "What's going on here?" Harris straightens, his grip still firm on Jayden. "Caught him loitering. Matches the description of a suspect. No ID. He's resisting." Davis looks at Jayden, then at the crowd. His eyes flick to the phone's recording. "I'll take it from here," he says. Harris hesitates. "I've got this under control." Davis's tone hardens slightly. "I said, I'll take it." Jayden looks up at Davis, his expression a mix of hope and exhaustion. Davis crouches slightly, meeting Jayden's eyes. "Son, are you okay?" Jayden nods weakly. "I didn't do anything." "I swear." Davis rises, turning to Harris. "Release him." Before Harris can respond, the sound of screeching tires draws everyone's attention. A sleek black SUV rolls up, and the door swings open. LeBron James steps out, his tall frame unmistakable. The crowd gasps, their whispers turning into excited murmurs. "It's LeBron," someone says, pulling out their phone. LeBron's face is calm but determined. He strides toward the group, his presence commanding. The officers pause, the tension shifting. "What's going on here?" LeBron asks, his deep voice cutting through the noise. Harris glares at him. "This doesn't concern you. Step back." LeBron doesn't budge. "It concerns me when I see a kid being treated like this." He looks at Jayden, then at the crowd. "Everyone's watching. You sure you want to keep this up?" Harris stiffens, glancing at the phones pointed at him. "He fits the profile," he mutters. LeBron folds his arms. "Profile? Or prejudice?" The crowd cheers softly, their confidence growing. Harris shifts uncomfortably as LeBron steps closer. You've got a choice to make. Do the right thing. Harris looks at Davis, who nods. Reluctantly, Harris releases Jayden. The boy stumbles slightly but straightens, his eyes meeting LeBron's with quiet gratitude. Harris stands rigid, his face tightening with irritation as LeBron remains unyielding. You're obstructing an officer, he snaps, his voice rising with frustration. This is an active situation, and I am in charge here. LeBron's calm demeanor doesn't waver. His steady gaze locks onto Harris. Active situation? The only thing active here is your abuse of power. The tension in the air is suffocating. The crowd, growing larger by the second, stays silent, their phones capturing every word and gesture. Jayden, still trembling, glances from Harris to LeBron, his fear mixing with an ember of hope. You need to leave before you make this worse for yourself. Harris continues, his tone more a threat than a warning. LeBron folds his arms, unmoved. Worse for me? Officer, take a look around. You're the one being watched. Everyone here sees what you're doing. You're out of line. Harris's composure falters momentarily, but he recovers quickly, doubling down. I don't care who you are. Step back, or you'll regret it. LeBron takes a step forward, his voice dropping to a measured intensity. No, you'll regret it. Do what's right before this spirals out of control. The sound of tires crunching against the gravel draws attention as another patrol car pulls into the park. The crowd collectively holds its breath, unsure of what to expect. Two officers step out, one of them tall and composed, his name tag reading Sergeant Davis. Harris straightens, relief flickering across his face. Finally, he mutters, gesturing toward Jayden. Suspect detained, no ID, fits the description of a vandal. Davis approaches slowly, his eyes scanning the scene. His calm but authoritative presence immediately shifts the atmosphere. He looks at Jayden, then at Harris, and finally at LeBron. Sergeant, Harris starts. This is under control, just a simple detainment. Davis doesn't respond immediately. He looks at the crowd, taking in their expressions and the phones pointed at the scene. Is that so? He asks, his tone measured. LeBron steps forward. Control? This kid hasn't done anything wrong, and everyone here knows it. Davis turns to Harris. What's the probable cause? Harris hesitates. He matches the description, no ID, resisting. Davis's eyebrow arches. Description? Based on what evidence? Harris stammers. It's standard procedure. He was acting suspicious. Suspicious? Davis's voice sharpens slightly, but he keeps his tone professional. Have you verified anything? Spoken to witnesses? Reviewed footage? Harris's silence speaks volumes. LeBron kneels next to Jayden, his voice soft but firm. You okay, kid? Jayden nods weakly, but his trembling hands betray him. I didn't do anything, he whispers. I was just playing basketball. LeBron places a reassuring hand on Jayden's shoulder. I know, and you don't deserve this. Stay strong, you're not alone. Jayden looks into LeBron's eyes, the fear in his own starting to melt into something steadier. Thank you, he says, his voice barely audible. You're gonna get through this, LeBron says. Just keep your head up. Jayden's posture straightens slightly. The weight of the moment is still heavy, but the spark of resilience in his eyes grows brighter. The crowd, emboldened by LeBron's presence, begins to find their voice. A woman shouts, "Let him go!" Another man echoes, "This is wrong!" The chants grow louder. "Let him go! Let him go!" Harris shifts uncomfortably, the pressure mounting. He glares at the crowd, then at Davis. "Sergeant, I've got this. They're interfering." Davis steps forward, his voice firm. "You've done enough, Harris. Step back." Harris clenches his jaw, his authority crumbling under the scrutiny. He reluctantly releases Jayden, who stumbles slightly before finding his footing. The crowd erupts in cheers, the tension breaking like a dam. Phones continue recording, capturing the moment Harris steps away and Davis takes control. Davis looks at LeBron. "Thank you for stepping in. I'll handle the rest." LeBron nods. "Make sure he's treated fairly. That's all anyone's asking for." Davis turns to Jayden. "You're free to go, son. I'm sorry this happened to you." Jayden nods, his voice steady for the first time. "Thank you." As Davis begins speaking with Harris in hushed tones, LeBron guides Jayden toward the edge of the crowd. The cheers around them fade into a hum of conversation and relief. "You okay now?" LeBron asks. Jayden exhales deeply. "Yeah, I think so." LeBron smiles. "Good. You're stronger than you think." Jayden looks up at him, a small but genuine smile forming. "Thanks for not walking away." LeBron pats his shoulder. "Sometimes you've got to stand up, even when it's hard." Officer Harris is immediately suspended, his badge and gun handed over as an internal investigation is launched. The park scene, captured from multiple angles by onlookers, spreads across social media within hours. Comments pour in, expressing outrage over the blatant abuse of power. The hashtags #Justice for Jayden and #End Racial Profiling trend nationwide. News outlets pick up the story, amplifying the conversation around racial profiling and the systemic injustices embedded in policing. Community leaders hold press conferences, demanding change. "This is not an isolated incident," one activist says. "It's a symptom of a larger problem. We won't stay silent anymore." Their voices ignite discussions about accountability and the urgent need for reform. Jayden sits on his bed that evening, the weight of the day still heavy on his shoulders. His basketball rests at his feet, a silent reminder of the dream he almost let slip. He picks it up and holds it tightly, replaying LeBron's words in his mind. "You're stronger than you think." The fear he felt earlier hasn't disappeared, but it's now paired with something new: determination. He knows the road ahead will still be tough, but today proved he doesn't have to face it alone. As he dribbles the ball softly in his room, he whispers to himself, "I'm not just playing for me anymore. I'm playing for everyone who's been told they don't belong." LeBron takes to social media, sharing his perspective on the incident. In a heartfelt post, he writes, "What happened to Jayden happens to so many others every day. It's time we all take a stand." His post includes a link to donate to youth mentorship programs in underprivileged neighborhoods, with a pledge to match every dollar raised. He partners with local organizations to advocate for police accountability, funding educational workshops on racial justice and systemic reform. In interviews, he speaks candidly about the importance of using his platform for change. "This isn't about me," he says during one appearance. "It's about making sure no kid has to grow up thinking their voice doesn't matter. We're all part of this fight." His message resonates far beyond the local community, inspiring nationwide conversations about equality and justice. Later, at a small community event, Jayden stands before a crowd. His voice is shaky at first, but he takes a deep breath and speaks. Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about standing up, even when you are. "I was scared that day, but people stood up for me, and that changed everything." The crowd claps, their faces filled with pride. Jayden looks out at them, realizing the power of unity and resilience. The story ends with a renewed sense of hope. Jayden's journey reflects a larger societal shift, proving that even in the face of injustice, voices united can drive transformation.